outbreak of COVID-19, a lot of conspiracy theories emerged. An American study showed that nearly a third of the people believed that the coronavirus was manufactured on purpose. And also in the Netherlands, it seems that the conspiracy theories on the coronavirus are becoming increasingly popular. What are these conspiracy theories on the corona crisis? Why do more people believe in conspiracies now? And why does it matter? Welcome to the third episode of the Machiavelli podcast, where we invite students, experts, and other interesting people to tell stories from which we can gain new insights. In this episode, you will listen to Jaron Harambam, a renowned conspiracy theorist expert who studied sociology at the University of Amsterdam and is currently investigating in the understanding of the contemporary popularity of conspiracy theories. As I would say, the perfect guest to tell us more about the rise of conspiracy theories. Sit back or take a walk if you can and listen to the third episode where we try to understand conspiracy theories on the corona crisis with Jaron Harambam. Enjoy! Alright, first of all, welcome. Thank you for being our guest at the third episode of the Machiavelli podcast. First of all, how are you doing in this corona crisis?
Well, actually, I'm quite alright. It's very busy. We spoke about that before, but of course, the explosion of conspiracy theories or doubts about official narratives regarding the corona crisis are exploding.
Yeah.
So I'm really doing my best to keep track of all what's happening, to see how different people react to the information that is being provided to us, the uncertainty that a lot of that we have in this situation regarding the origins of the virus, regarding the workings of the virus, how many people get sick, how people get sick, which people get sick, and then there's a lot of commentaries from people who are suspicious of the official narratives, numbers, and authorities.
Yeah, well, it sounds very interesting. And before we dive into the conspiracy theories, could you please shortly introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
So my name is Jaron Harambam. I'm a sociologist. I work at the Institute for Media Studies at KU Leuven, Belgium. My dissertation was ethnography of the Dutch conspiracy world. And my main, sort of topics of interest are conspiracy theories, but more broadly put, I think what interests me are truth wars. So how in society different groups battle for epistemic authority or truth. So it's a lot also on the online. Now I work at the media studies department, and I've been focusing on media for quite some while because most of our information is shared and read and distributed is online. So I'm very interested in how the online media landscape influences the way people perceive information, but also search for information, etc. So the role of platforms, social media platforms, the role of algorithms, and the way people sort of deal with that. In principle, I'm very much an ethnographer and looking closely at what people do with technologies in their everyday lives.
I think very interesting and also highly accurate at the moment, because the coronavirus pandemic has given rise to numerous conspiracy theories. Could you tell us a bit about the kind of conspiracy theories that emerged with the outbreak of the coronavirus?
Yeah. So I think this is very interesting because there's a large variety of conspiracy theories out there. I think one main one is very much about the origin of the virus. So was it a man-made virus, a bioweapon, maybe by the U.S. government, planted in China? Or maybe it was actually a Chinese bioweapon, an engineered virus, but also it could have been just leaked from the Institute of Virology. There's one of the top Chinese institutes for virology where they do experiments with
Yeah.
these coronaviruses, that it may be leaked from from that institute.
Yeah.
So this is one thing. Then there's conspiracy theories about the relationship between the virus and the illness. So the fact that I think a lot of the 5G conspiracy theories
Yeah.
relate to that, and so this is also interesting. We get the narrative of 5G conspiracy theories of people that think that these 5G towers make like sort of create the virus.
Yeah.
But if you look at like the sort of the conspiracy theories more specifically about these 5G conspiracy theories, is that you see also a lot of variety there within the 5G conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Because there's people who doubt that you actually get sick from a virus, but maybe that is actually because the 5G system sort of impacts on your immune system, so you get more sick and you develop these symptoms.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's conspiracy theories about the fears of a totalitarian government, so the enormous infringements on human rights and freedom of movement, freedom of expression. So the fear of a coming totalitarian regime, in line with fears of mandatory vaccinations against the coronavirus. There's a lot of conspiracy theories about about the enormous measures that are being taken, if they are actually how would you say that, if they are in proportion to what is going on and the amounts of deaths that we have and sick people. There's conspiracy theories about the possible medications, so there's all kinds of conspiracy theories about very bizarre magic cures, but also more scientific ones about, for example, different kinds of medical treatments that have been produced before, but it's still uncertain if they work in this context, and that they might be suppressed by the pharmaceutical industry, who really wants to sell vaccines and make huge profits. So there's many different kinds of conspiracy theories out there. You see it already.
Yeah. There are a lot of conspiracy theories, as you're telling now. But how do these conspiracy theories develop? Like, how does it emerge?
Yeah. Well, I think you see this happening a lot with very intense events that cause a lot of distress and disruption of ordinary life. So you see a lot of conspiracy theories with major events like a terrorist attack, a crisis, a health disaster, etc. And also in times of uncertainty. So this virus developed, and there's very little known about the virus, how it works. So then there's a lot of space as well for speculation, for suspicions, for questions. But of course, these, they're part also of a cultural repertoire of people that have a distrust towards the mainstream authority. So that exists already before such a thing happens. And then this thing happens, and then all the events that happen are being interpreted from that worldview or cultural scheme or like ideology that you have. So when something like this is happening and you're already distrustful, and then out of a sudden there's a huge infringement of human rights, then of course these people say, hey, hello, what's going on? Why is this happening? I don't trust this. Or if people distrust the media for several reasons, and then out of a sudden they see people, they see this whole media panic. News for weeks has been only about corona, really emphasizing this crisis as a war. It's dangerous. People are afraid, so they point to the sort of the media panic. That's being created, and then wonder why is that being created.
But then from the start, like where does it start? Like, where do people find these theories, and where do they come from?
So this is what happens in the online world nowadays. Everybody shares their ideas about what is going on. I think Twitter, you have a Twitter account, probably people post stuff. share stuff on YouTube. They see stuff, they retweet it, they put it in their Facebook timeline. So it is very much online.
Yeah.
And yeah, people just pick and choose from different outlets that they have been following, and they see, they share their opinions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, what makes a conspiracy theory successful then? Because I imagine when I'm twittering something about the conspiracy theory that is, I mean, completely stupid, for example, what makes a conspiracy theory successful and what not?
Yeah, well, it also depends what do you find as the successful, because like spreading around platforms, if you're very much against conspiracy theories and find it a danger, you might also share it. Or I think very controversial videos or like statements or theories are doing very well on social media because they generate a lot of attention. So people get,
Yeah.
that's the business model of these platforms. But in principle, if you look at the conspiracy theories themselves, I think, they have to align with already existing narratives and already
Yeah.
existing distrusts. So new events are being reinterpreted in these older, pre-existing, suspicions and doubts.
Yeah.
So I think this is how they work. You see something, you already are distrustful of the media, and then somebody shares something about uh, how the images that we see of a hospital being overloaded with patients is actually not true. It's like a
Yeah.
scam. It's like a crisis actors that are playing to be patients or people waiting in line.
Yeah.
You see a lot of these videos of. So then it falls on fertile ground. People think, okay, you see, the media is rigged. The media is
Yeah.
not what we can trust. So they see a confirmation of their beliefs in already existing stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like it's a whole process before a conspiracy theory becomes successful. What you determine as
Yeah.
successful. And how influential are these coronavirus conspiracy theories?
Well, I think you see nowadays that they're very popular.
Yeah.
And it's very hard to say if that's more or less than before, but at least they're more visible and they're easily shared. They go all over the world. So there's a lot of connections between different conspiracy worlds in the US and Europe.
Yeah.
And also the mainstream media are very much paying a lot of attention uh,
Mm.
on these
Yeah.
conspiracy theories. There's a lot of media panic as well about it. Like, and then especially when something happens like that, these telecom towers are being put
Yeah.
on fire.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, yeah. Talking about like the 5G technology and the relationship with the coronavirus. How did this specific theory develop?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So again, you have here a distrust towards this technology.
Yeah.
It's already pre-existing, and I think for a longer time it was already with introduction of mobile networks in the 90s.
Mhm.
Uh, there was always doubts about the safety of these technologies.
Yeah.
And research, yeah, so this has been going on for a long time, and research on the safety of these telecom transmissions have been, yeah. So it is always, so in principle, it has been proven. No, it has not been proven safe, but it has always been proven not to be causing any harm.
Mm.
So yeah, this has the history,
Yeah.
and then of course when the coronavirus started, there were like suspicions. So it can start from just like an easy suspicion that grows into a bigger conspiracy theory. But I think the biggest, sort of impetus was given by this doctor who is sort of from a more anthroposophic background
Yeah.
that draws on. So it was this one video that I saw that was very popular of a lecture of a doctor influenced by like holistic medicine,
Yeah.
and he showed very much that in that video that let me recall that the yeah, the transmissions of like the 5G cause disruptions in your immune system in your body, making you more vulnerable to get sick and develop these symptoms that are seen as COVID-19.
Yeah.
And what he showed more was that in all sort of big pandemics, the 1918 one, the Hong Kong one in '67, was an introduction of a new radio technology. So he put that connection, and then you see that
Yeah.
people are drawing connections on online. They put different stuff together. There's many different kinds of conspiracy theories then developing.
Yeah.
Um,
And after this connection, like, why do people believe in the 5G technology conspiracy theory? Because, like, as I told you before, for me and I think to others also, it seems like they're, yeah, don't wanna, yeah, like there seem like crazy people. Like, why would you believe in such a theory? What makes people believe in such a conspiracy theory?
yeah.
Although you know it might not be true. Like, what make them believe this?
Well, so I think so. These are people that already think that the 5G or that like this radiation is causing harm to people's body.
Yeah.
Um, and then because there's not, yeah, so they also see their claims being ridiculized and being said as like, yeah, this is not really scientifically proven, etc. So they feel very much also marginalized by mainstream society. And there's no place in public debate for their concerns. It's being ridiculed, it's being put aside as irrational,
Yeah.
crazy,
Yeah.
etc. Well, it is a political question, and the scientific, yeah. So from a political perspective, you can actually doubt whether there has been enough independent research on the effects of 5G.
Yeah.
And many scientists and countries are having doubts about the safety. And the difficulty is always sort of the harm precaution. Is it, do we need to prove that it causes harm,
Mm.
or do we need to prove that it is dangerous? Um, so there also lies where does yeah, sort of who needs to prove the harm or the safety of this new technology. And up until very recent, the discussion was very much about, yeah, where are we introducing this new system, and what is it actually good for? Do we need it? What problem does it solve? So there's also a whole discussion about that as well.
Yeah.
Uh, and then, yeah, and then also this is very much like in line with different kinds of ideas about health and the body, and what causes sickness. So from this holistic alternative medicine point of view, in that video, even
Yeah.
this doctor said that following Rudolf Steiner, who was the founder of anthroposophy like 120 years ago, saw viruses as parts of the body that are not healthy anymore, and they try to get rid of it.
Hmm.
So it's a completely different view on medicines that we see viruses as an external intruder. So there's
Yeah.
also
Okay. Yeah.
completely different ideas about yeah, about health, the body, and sickness.
Yeah.
And yeah,
And then, like, when we're talking about politics, like, what would you advise the government to do, for example, with these increasingly popular 5G technology and the relationship with the coronavirus?
yeah.
What should the government do?
Yeah, well, what the government. So what I think is that in a lot of these cases of this is scientific, this is a controversy, a political matter,
Yeah.
that different groups in society fear the safety of it, uh, and we don't have enough resources to actually perform enough independent research on on the effects of it. It's also very much immersed in an enormous industry that has
Yeah.
clear interests in having the 5G rolled out. Um, so the question is also, can you have sort of open, political debates about the safety of these issues when it's so much enmeshed in these vested interests. And what studies do we trust, and can we give more space for the concerns of everyday people and the health of society?
Yeah.
And how do we include them? And I think this is a very important question about inclusion in political debates. Um, that now you see that these people are marginalized, right? They're discarded. It's
Yeah.
insane. It's crazy. Like, who can even imagine that?
Yes. Yeah.
That's sort of the narrative.
Exactly. Yeah.
But we don't even listen to them,
Okay.
if only to sort of understand where their concerns and fears come from. I mean, it's easy to put somebody aside and to say that he's crazy.
Yeah.
It's another thing to sort of go a bit deeper and see, so what are the things that they are concerned about, and how can we make sure that we hear these concerns instead of only focusing perhaps on the 5G accusation.
But
Might be
yeah.
deeper concerns underlying that are worth hearing.
But as I'm understanding correctly, you say actually give attention to these conspiracy theories, right? But then my question is, aren't you afraid that more people will know about the conspiracy theories and then will believe in the conspiracy theories? Um,
No, because like now everybody knows about 5G conspiracy theories as well. It's all over the news. It's everywhere. It's all over the internet. I don't think that not one person didn't hear about this.
yeah.
Uh,
Okay. So you think they will know about, like everybody will know about the conspiracy theories on the 5G technology, anyways, right?
yeah, and I think it's very good to dig deeper and don't like stay on the level of stereotypifications of
Yeah.
5G lunatics.
And yeah.
But see, like, hey, what can we actually uh, what do we need to focus on? What can we actually learn? Even if we think that these people are saying false stuff, like what is going on? What are their concerns? Is there some legitimacy in their concerns? Um,
Yeah.
so that you don't even need to endorse their truths, the truthfulness of their claims, to include this in our agenda setting. And where do we need to do more research on the safety of 5G? Is there enough guarantees that it doesn't cause harm to our health, etc., etc.,
Yeah.
etc.?
And what role does the media then play in portraying the conspiracy theories?
Well, yeah. So I think it's media is also sensationalist. This is how media works. This is what makes a
Yeah.
good news story. It's like you need something shocking. You need something that catches attention. You need something that is a worry. Positive news is much less, active.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, you see a lot of, like, for example, these new media, especially that, or the more investigative media that do research, and I think these have a very important role in society to actually show also to a wider range of people, hey, what is going on, and what can we, like, not just the news items, because these are very short and superficial, but the like longer investigative stories. uh what do we know? What is the knowledge that we have, the scientific knowledge that we have? Who has that been producing?
Yeah.
What interests lie behind these research programs, etc. So more of a mapping of the knowledge production ecology around a certain issue is an important aspect of investigative journalism. And unfortunately, they are not funded enough
Mm.
to do
Yeah.
such research. Um, so all the sort of the groups in society that would, like, that need to be doing sort of very deep research into the truths that we are producing, and the knowledge and the policies that are being made on those forms of information. They need much more funding.
Yeah. And if we go back to the thing, or the thing that is rising in society, namely conspiracy theories, Like, what is then the ideal environment for conspiracy theories to develop?
Yeah. Well, so I think, um, yeah. So in my dissertation, I was very much focused, like interested in the question of why do people believe in conspiracy theories,
Yeah,
of course,
yeah,
right? And that question sort of leads. So there's two sort of dominant explanations in science about it. So there's one that is a sign of paranoia, cultural paranoia, personal paranoia, that people
yeah,
see, uh, yeah, patterns that are not there,
yeah.
imaginative patterns. And there's a more culturalist explanation that says, yeah, the world is so complex, so people need to make sense of this complex reality by endorsing simplistic conspiracy theories that have a clear culprit and people who
Mhm.
are doing this and that, and there's a narrative, and it's like a very simplified theory of society. Um, and both of them I found very reductionist and very yeah, stigmatizing, so
Mhm.
pathologizing even, so these people do something wrong, they cannot, like, I think that perspective obstructs understanding why people actually engage with these conspiracy theories. So in my research I really wanted to not ask the question why, but maybe more how did they become
Mm.
conspiracy theorists. So I studied the life histories, the biographies of these people, and I spoke with them about their life and
Wow.
how, what moments and like how did they become a conspiracy
Yeah,
theorist?
that's
That's the
yeah.
question.
And yeah, what was the answer?
Yeah. So in their life stories, yeah, they. So what I found that this was very interesting. That in their personal life stories, you saw actually signs of larger sociological transformations. So these uh, major societal developments you saw visible in these tiny life stories of like these people that I interviewed, and then you see that. So I showed, for example, secularization. So the fact that people used to be religious in the past and then found out, like, hey, like what's going on? Actually, the church is not as loving and good as they
Mm.
say they are, but there's all intrigue and political games and etc. behind it, and the way. So then, if religion is not really true, and if that's not the real story that I've been told, then what about all the others? Or about mediatization, how we increasingly live in a world of of media and how they are so easily manipulated. So how do you know what you see is actually true? Um, and globalization, that people live in different parts of the world and see that different people regard news events or world events in very different ways. Like this guy who lived in Russia for many years and then saw how the way we portray Russia and how it's actually there is very different.
Yeah.
So what I argue in my thesis that all these large sociological transformations, they unsettle the stable sense of truth. So they
Yeah.
actually make it more plausible that there is maybe more than one truth, or that there is that the truth is not given anymore. And there's no authority, no institution that can guarantee this, like that stable sense of truth. So in this cultural climate of uncertainty and about the possibility of a stable truth, and a history of many conspiracy theories
Mm.
and
Mm.
all kinds of cover-ups and all that people are distrusting, um, the mainstream narratives that we hear.
And do you believe that it is dangerous, that there's a quick development of these conspiracy theories? Like, is it dangerous, or do you believe that there is any danger regarding the development of conspiracy theories?
Yeah, of course, there's a clear danger. Um, It is dangerous if, for example, conspiracy theories target a very specific group and call for hatred. So you see that in the history where there are a lot of conspiracy theories about the Jews, and it led to a lot of persecutions. You see that now, sort of with like immigration conspiracy theories and Muslims, and I think these can be very dangerous. And you see a lot of American mass shootings being inspired by people who have conspiratorial ideas. I think it's also dangerous that the yeah the authorities, the mainstream epistemic authorities, so I mean science, I mean quality media, that they are not being distrusted because we need to make sense of a certain reality. And we need to understand it, and we need to have trust that the media companies and that the scientists and that science in general gives us a reliable picture of the world. But yeah, this is not only the fault of conspiracy theorists. This is also the fact that mainstream media has been, in the US, for example, collaborating with CIA, and there's a strong influence of state propaganda. So on the one hand, you see that the media companies are also, for example, this is what conspiracy theorists are saying, like that they have increasingly been bought up by large companies. So now 95% of the the media outlets are owned by 5 or 6 huge corporations that have as such a lot of control about how the world is being visualized and portrayed. So these conspiracy theorists are having quite a solid critique about how objective can such a reporting be when it's consolidated in a few big companies and when they are so closely aligned with the larger power elites in society. So how much of the independent watchdog role can media still perform? And this is super important in our democratic societies, that we have investigative journalism that can speak truth to power. So I think the conspiracy theorists are also a symptom of institutional malfunctioning. And we don't pay enough attention. I get this question a lot: are these dangerous, right? And I think, they are dangerous, but that's not the problem of these conspiracy theorists. It's the problem of that we have let the function of these institutions get corrupted over the years. And it's just very difficult because the media companies need to be financed, just like science needs to be financed in a way. But we also want our scientific articles to be free of commercial interests.
But then how can we make sure that people believe in the facts and the science that is out there? Like, how can we increase the trustworthiness of, for example, something as a coronavirus?
So I think like the question is also, who do you focus on, right? So there's like a few or a small minority of people that engage with the conspiracy theories are like very die-hard believers. With these people, you cannot really do much. I think that's like the way it is. I think the biggest difference you can make is for the larger majority of people that say, but this story sounds fishy, and like there's something going on, and and why wouldn't that virus be, why would that not have been escaped from the Institute of Virology? It could very well be, and you see that also now that official cables, like official media outlets, like the Washington Post, is disclosing how American CIA was already warning their superiors in 2017 about the safety measures being taken in that laboratory of the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Asking questions about like that maybe they need to be like shut down because there's a risk of contamination. So what we can do, that's what your question was.
Exactly.
I think for the biggest part is that transparency of the choices that we're making, of the research that we have, and having a voice as well in the political decisions that we make is, I think, very important. And for example, if you compare now the Dutch, or in many countries, the way they have been handling the coronavirus is covered in sort of in democratic decisions, that there is very little control from journalists, from media,
Mm.
actually, to
Yeah.
hold people, to hold them accountable to what is going on, why are these decisions being taken, and on what scientific grounds. So I think there's a lot in terms of um, transparency and having a say. So
Yeah.
including people in political decision making.
Well, that is very interesting. I got maybe one final question, because how do people go from believing in a theory, because that is one thing, and then going to take action? And for example, in the Netherlands, there are quite a lot of fire attacks on phone masts. Like, how do you go from believing in a theory and then suddenly go to action?
Yeah. So I think this is very much what radicalization experts study.
Yeah.
So I think we can learn a lot here from also the people who become terrorists,
Hmm.
because there's a lot of extreme thought with people, and you could consider conspiracy theories as extreme thought, but they are not always, going to do something about it in terms of violence or etc. Um, And so I think you need to study that more. And I think there are very few cases that actually something like this happened. I think the
Yeah.
effects of what people do in their daily lives because of conspiracy theories are much bigger in terms of, for example, not vaccinating their kids, or
Hmm.
not watching mainstream media anymore. Like, these sort of actions are much more present than these very extreme actions, such as putting masks on fire, or
Yeah.
walking into a Pizza Hut, like a pizza restaurant, and
Yeah.
that happens very rarely. So I think there the radicalization scholars can give us more understanding than
Yeah.
what I do, because I don't know these people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Of course.
but also in this context with the telecom towers, is that uh, there were a few, and it also became sort of a game. You saw that there were like online, sort of a match of like how many can we do. So
Yeah.
it's also some kind of like pleasure in the violence there. And I think not only the people that might be fully believing in the 5G conspiracy theories are actually putting those things on fire, but maybe more, people who are already prone to violence,
Yeah.
and so on. So the question is really who did that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that is. I think maybe also the media plays a role in it, that they portray it as the 5G conspiracy theorists or believers um, put fire phone masts on fire, but they're not necessarily the hard conspiracy theory believers,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly. That was my
Okay.
point. But also, secondly, is that you see that there's a lot of copycat behavior. Like, there's a lot of media attention about it, and other people
Yeah.
think, "Wow, this is cool. Let's do something. I'm bored. We're locked down for 2 months. Let's put some things on fire."
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well,
Uh,
that is a good explanation, I think. Well, I would like to thank you for your time, and it was very interesting to hear about the people who believe in conspiracy theories and why they believe and how they believe in conspiracy theories. So, thank you very much for your time, and good luck with the rest of like investigating in conspiracy theories.
yes.
And I would like to give you a present, but it's not really possible via a virtual way. But we might see each other at the University of Amsterdam again. And thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Yes, no problem. Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Thanks. All right. That was the third episode of the Machiavelli podcast. Sociologist Jaron Harambam explained why and how conspiracy theories on the coronavirus developed and why it matters. He emphasized that the media and the government have a responsibility in portraying people who believe in conspiracy theories. He explained that we should take this rise in conspiracy theories seriously. I would say a lot of new insight to think about. I would like to give special thanks to our guest Jaron Harambam, and thank you for listening. Stay safe and hopefully see you next time.